part out of necessity. There was a time when I got out of high school and I was super excited to be going around with my blues band and playing all these gigs, and then one by one, pokie machines, and the only places to get gigs was solo in restaurants and coffee houses and things like that. So I started to mess around with the acoustic as an interim thing. And then, you know, as the years went by, I started to realize that I had a sense of freedom playing solo. And these days I kind of, you know, I still play electric guitar once or twice a year for fun, but I'm just another electric blues guitar player. Whereas with the acoustic, I feel like I'm doing something different. So the ultimate goal in music is have a link in the chain somewhere, and I feel that the acoustic allows me to do that. Brownie McGee, the great blues legend, invited me to come and jam with him, and you know, that's an opportunity you just can't miss out on. So my father sort of yanked me out of school and put me on a plane, and so I'd be back and forth from the States after that for the next 7 years, because you can't get a taste of it as a 16-year-old kid and not want to just keep soaking that stuff up, you know. Plus I'd been playing professionally for a few years in Australia at that point, and when you're that young, people pat you on the back a lot, and one of two things will happen. You'll deflect it so much that you actually get a complex, or you start to believe it, in which case it can all go very, very bad. So I just decided if I was going to be a blues player, I should see where it's from. And it became somewhat of an addiction. You know, I grew up in a really strong Melbourne blues scene, so all my heroes were Melbourne blues players. You know, I was very lucky because there was Dutch Childers and Jeff Atchison, Billy Kavanagh, Jimmy Hocking, all those amazing people, Fiona Boys. I mean, I could list them all day. They always had time for me as a kid, and I had heroes I could call on the phone, and they might as well have been Muddy Waters to me, you know. So I was really blessed to kind of have that kind of access to the people I looked up to, and I still look up to them, you know. I mean, I get on stage with those guys now as their peers, as their peer, and I still feel like a 10-year-old kid. Japan, of all things, was the place it all kind of happened and fell together for me. It was really straight out of a movie. I was there demonstrating guitars for Cole Clark, and kind of got spotted by this management team who thought it would be a really good idea to get me signed to a record label and start putting on concerts, and it got bigger and bigger really fast. So I was kind of traveling about doing my local pub scenes in my Commodore in Australia, and then hopping on a plane and selling out, you know, 5 nights at Tokyo Disneyland and things like this. It was a crazy time, and in fact, if anything, because it's all over now, I'm kind of a one-hit wonder, you know, kind of has been in Japan at 36. And the one thing it really did for me, though, is that it made me realize that I make music for my own enjoyment, and that I make music that I love, and that I've kind of had a taste of what it could be like doing the business end of things. And it's just not something I'm interested in. So it actually made me a better player, a better man, a better father, and all those sorts of things, to have had that experience and known that it's not the be all and end all of the universe. You know, musicians get hungry and hungry and hungrier, chasing that one thing. And so to have a little taste of that, and to know that I'm all right doing what I'm doing, is a great time. My mind is worried when my shoes get thin. I don't know where I'm going, but don't know where I've been. So years ago, I was playing at Tokyo Disneyland, and I did finish the show and kind of went backstage and hung out for a couple of hours. And by the time I got to my car, there was this 14-year-old kid sitting there wanting an autograph on his guitar, you know, and he'd been waiting out there. And I don't know how he got there, because Tokyo Disneyland is not the easiest place to infiltrate. But he'd waited for about 3 or 4 hours for me. So I was impressed by that. I signed his guitar, and we had a little lesson there in the car park, you know. So yeah, flash forward now, and he's this enormous Japanese roots music star. He kind of brought roots music to Japan in the new form that we're seeing it now around the world. So yeah, I was last year I was actually invited over to support him and jump on stage with him and play some gigs, and it was incredible, because I walked into the rehearsal studio day one, and it was like looking into a mirror, but he was Japanese, but his playing was identical. And you know, and that goes to that thing I was saying, that, you know, to know you've had a link in the chain somewhere is the most amazing honour that you can have in music. I think is to know that somewhere there's some people being influenced by what you do. So hopefully there's a few more Japanese rock stars to come.